Turkey has welcomed the start of the Kurdistan Workers' Party's disarmament process as a milestone and an irreversible turning point towards lasting peace. In Iraq's Kurdish region, a small group of PKK members destroyed their weapons in a symbolic ceremony, marking the first step of a broader summer-long demilitarization plan. This comes after the PKK announced that it would abandon its 4-decade-long armed campaign against the Turkish state, a conflict that has claimed over 40,000 lives. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan praised the move, calling it a break from bloody shackles that have held Turkey back. The group's jailed leader, Abdullah Ocalan, also voiced support in a recorded message describing the moment as a transition from armed struggle to democratic politics. Officials say the disarmament could also improve Turkey's ties with the US and other regional actors. Well, joining us to discuss the significance of this disarmament, of course, at a time where there have been over 40,000 deaths reported and a conflict which is over 40 years long. Adrian Calamel, a terrorist scholar, joining us from New York on the programme to discuss that. Adrian, Turkey and the PKK, of course, we've detailed some of the latest information there, but for us, could you please provide some context on why this conflict started, how it has evolved, and why now disarmament and improved relations is the move?
Well, great to see you again. Excuse me. Great to see you again, Joshua. This is, as you said, it's a conflict that stretches back, decades now. If we look at the PKK, what they're basically their composition, they're a communist, Marxist, Kurdish organization, political organization, and they check off every box when you talk about when you look at terrorist organizations. So they're a communist or Marxist terrorist organization that's been at war with Turkish state. Now the over those 40 years or so. So the Turkish state has gone through multiple transitions, and now we're in this phase of Erdogan, which makes it very interesting because he's consolidated power over the levers of democracy by making certain constitutional changes. PKK, as I say, and you mentioned in the segment, 40,000 deaths reported. It's been a long, bloody ride with atrocities on both sides. So, this can be looked as a welcomed phase, but I think it's also like, what happens next? What happens to the Kurds? Do they lose autonomy? Do we see Erdogan, now that he has them without weaponry, does he use that in some pernicious way? So that's kind of what we're looking at. It's basically a Marxist state that was a Marxist organization that took control of the Kurdish movement in Turkey, and then was used against what was a Western-aligned, NATO-backed country in Turkey.
Yes, and Adrian, how easy will this shift be? How easy will it be for demilitarization, but also then integration of the Kurdish people after such a long-running conflict?
That's another great question. It's going to be long, and it's going to be difficult, because even with any type of these demilitarization moves that we've seen with, let's say, the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, there's always going to be offshoots that still carry on the cause, that don't agree with the leadership and the decisions that leadership made. So does something spring off and support that Kurdish group, or does the Kurdish group, Kurdish, do they still experience some form of autonomy and also incorporated into the Kurdish state? Those are the questions everybody's really kind of asking, and it's a big You know, what we really don't know, because the relations between the two have not been good for obvious reasons. And we also look at the moves that have been made to the south in Syria, which was, you know, an Ottoman Turkish adventure. I would say there's been significant moves with the Kurdish population, trying to get them to fold into the military there. So and the YPG and the groups in Syria, the Kurdish groups in Syria, have always been aligned with the much larger PKK organization in Turkey. So it could have ripple effects across the two countries.
Yes, Adrian, you will be staying with us and joining us in a short moment on the programme. We now move